All right. Thank you, everyone. We are calling to order the meeting of the Plainville Board of Education for Monday, April 15th, 2024. First item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Cassandra, would you like to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Thank you. And next we have a special presentation. So we got in here late. Don't know if we have anyone here from CABE. Aha! So this must be Julia. So Julia is the board chair from Berlin. And she has hailed all the way here from Berlin to give us a communications award on behalf of CABE. So go ahead, step right up there, Berlin. Julia, thank you so much.
What?
Yeah, is the microphone on there? I don't
All right. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming. Thank you for welcoming me this evening. Good evening, Superintendent and Plainville Board of Ed. I almost said Berlin. I'm just so used to saying that. My name is Julia Dennis, and I am here on behalf of CABE to recognize the efforts of the Plainville Community Schools and present you with these awards that I've put in nice bags because everyone enjoys opening and presents. In order to receive the Bonnie B. Carney Award of Excellence for Educational Communications, entries must meet all of the following criteria. First, the general criteria, which includes clarity of message, image, and consistency. And the second, specific guidelines of readability, editing, graphics, type, format, presentation, design, and value of expenditure. And I'm very happy to present Plainville Community Schools with these 5 awards for excellence for educational communications for social media, the Linden Street School Principal's Twitter account, the newsletter, Plainville Board of Education Community Newsletter, the Teflon Tiger Tidbits Newsletter, for computer-generated project, the School Business Community Partnership Program e-newsletter, and the special project, the Teflon Internal Update and Information Staff Newsletter. So CABE has been honoring school districts with the Award for Excellence for Educational Communication since 1975. In 2016, the award was renamed to honor lifelong CABE staff member Bonnie B. Carney in recognition of her 47 years of dedication to education focused on communications. With this award, CABE's goal is to identify and honor the hardworking people in school districts for their continuing effort to communicate effectively. So I will bring these awards up.
I'm gonna come get them.
Yeah, I can bring them right to you. It's fine.
We do a picture?
Yeah, we take like
Sound good, Len?
and then I have and for the awards and. No problem. They do, but I'm gonna send. I'll see.
All right. So I'm also serve on the CAVE Board of Directors, and just last week I joined our friends in Bristol to give them their award. And then I stayed for the rest of the meeting because it was kind of interesting. And, you know, that's what us nerdy Board of Education members do. So you're welcome to stay. So we have a few more really important celebrations, and we have some PCS All-Stars that we're going to be celebrating this evening. We have a system in Plainville where folks are recognized for their just things that they do over and above, and sometimes, as you'll see this evening, it's staff members, and sometimes it can be students. So we have this award that we started in September of 2022, and it shows all the great acts and achievements of individuals who serve Plainville Community Schools, and we are, with these folks get nominated by their coworkers or other students or parents or community members for efforts that they make in making the school district a better place. So the all-star team members that place the needs of our students and school district community first. All-stars are nominated for their demonstration of service, modeling positive character and traits, and their impactful contribution to the learning community. PCS All-Stars model the collaborative, communicative, mindful, and resilient characteristics of the PCS portrait of a graduate. So, Mr. Superintendent, you can introduce our folks.
I thought we'd start with our introduction of one of our fourth grade teachers, Miss LaBelle. We are very excited to have her with us this evening. Miss LaBelle is actually, we're not surprised that she's here and being represented, as she is a Plainville High School graduate. So we are very, very proud of that. We are very honored that she was willing to jump into a situation that saved a kid's life. She saw a student struggling, somebody who was not in her classroom but in a different classroom, and took the initiative and made sure the student was okay and used the Heimlich maneuver to do that. She is apparently a talented artist, soccer player, and an incredibly creative person. But to further embarrass her up at the podium, we ask Mrs. Adorato to join us and to read her recommendation.
So we've already highlighted a bit about Mrs. LaBelle, and as many of you might have seen in Superintendent Reese's newsletter, she is truly a hero. Many of you might also know her as a fourth grade teacher at Taflon, and she did happen to just be walking through the cafeteria noticing a child was choking. And in true Mrs. LaBelle fashion, without hesitation, she did immediately give that child a Heimlich maneuver, made sure the child was all right, got them to the nurse, and then went back about her day teaching and caring for her own students in her own classroom. When I checked in on her after I found out about this, she said, "Oh, it's just all part of a day's work." And she further told me it was like remembering Mrs. Doubtfire. She knew she'd need it someday. She is a true example of what it means to be an educator in Plainville and at Taflon. She exemplifies community and the care and concern we have for every child, regardless of if they're a student of ours in a specific classroom or not. And we thank Mrs. LaBelle for her remarkable quick thinking, action, and care. We are so very lucky you choose to be an educator here. I also want to share with you that Chris's family, the student, was hopeful to attend tonight, but unfortunately they cannot make it. And they asked that I express their sincere gratitude and appreciation for Mrs. LaBelle saving Chris, and to let you know that Chris is still talking about how she saved him and just how awesome that is. Congratulations.
Just want to say thank you. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and I'm glad I was. And seeing Christopher the next day just coming up and saying, "Thank you, Mrs. LaBelle." He's not a child who will come up to you, and every time he sees me now, he gives me a quiet little smile. So that's That's all the thanks I need. Thank you.
So we have our next awards as well. We have two students who represent those awards. These two students are part of our community growing and part of our community taking next steps forward. So when the commission that is looking at all the things we're trying to do in the schools look to find something that represented us, you can see on the Board of Education, we asked students to consider what would it look like? What would a logo look like? And these two students put their creative talents together and created this, which is now going to be our coalition's logo. And nothing speaks to what we are as a school, but what our students produce and what our students add. And you don't know what that can do down the road. So we are very ecstatic to have Nolan join us and take time out of his significant academic career and to do this for us, and Isabella. Nolan is a top academic student and a dancer. He's also going to help us out with some instrumental work later on in the year. Isabella is a soccer star and a creative and loves to read. And apparently has more hobbies than I do with gardening, art, cooking, and whatever else interests her. So we are very thrilled to have both of these students as our PCS All-Stars, as they will have made a difference for many of the students in our district as we move forward. Come on down.
Both Toflon students, I'm just saying, you know. Can't help but, you know, have my little priority there, Toflon. So thank you all so much for coming out, and we apologize for being a few minutes late, but it was great to be able to celebrate all of you. Thank you very much. Feel free to leave. You know, we don't want to put everybody to sleep. You do not have to stay. Approval of minutes is the next item on the agenda. So we have, looks like 3 sets of minutes. Somebody like to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the regular business meeting minutes of the Board of Education for March 11th, as well as I request the approval of the Board of Education special meeting minutes of January 9th and the approval of Board of Education special meeting of February 29th.
Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I do have one minor correction to make to the minutes. And under agenda item E in the March 11th minutes, the PAC meeting would say the next meeting took place on March 13th. That should be changed to the next meeting will take place on March 13th.
All right, can we have a second with consideration of that correction?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any other corrections or issues? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Right, thank you very much. And that brings us right to our student representative report. Val, thank you for being here as well.
It's a bit of a longer one tonight, so get ready. Good evening, all. Today, students came back to school after a much-needed spring break. Spring sports are currently in full swing with baseball, softball, and outdoor co-ed track all completing practices daily and meets regularly. Softball and baseball both had games today. Seniors and juniors are currently preparing for AP tests, which are going to be administered in about 4 weeks, with AP stats being the very first to be administered. Seniors are also hard at work submitting their scholarship applications to aid with paying for college, and the Common Scholarship was submitted Thursday before we went to break. Although tonight's report will include some current events, I would also like to highlight PHS 2024 notable admissions, since this has been a regularly successful year. SATs were administered on March 20th, with all sophomores and juniors taking the new short format PSAT and SAT. General feedback on both labeled it as an easy experience, but we'll see if that holds up when the scores come back in May. Mr. PHS was extremely successful, with Io being crowned as Mr. PHS and Shane and Gavin crowned runner-ups in the competition. National Honor Society admissions are currently underway, with the induction ceremony occurring tentatively on May 9th. The Science National Honor Society blood drive recruiting is due to start sometime within the next week, and the actual blood drive with the Red Cross will be administered later this month. The Science NHS will also be holding a science night on the 29th of April at 6 p.m. Tonight, I wanted to bring special attentions to PHS admissions this year. Students have been extremely hard at work, and it's been all of us realizing how difficult it was to actually get in junior year made us work even harder this year. It has been a very competitive year, and I'm proud to announce that next year I'll be attending Duke University and majoring in computer science with a concentration in AI and machine learning, and hopefully a double major in finance and econ. Nicole, our salutatorian, will be committing to Boston University this Saturday and majoring in journalism with a minor in Spanish. And Joelle will be committing to Northeastern University and joining the pre-med track. PHS is also proud to announce a whole slew of waitlists, which, with some hopefully coming through as acceptances during the summer, our class has been able to accumulate the following waitlists: 1 Carnegie Mellon, 1 Cornell, 1 Dartmouth, 1 Columbia, 1 UChicago, 1 Johns Hopkins, 1 Georgia Tech, 2 Northeastern, 2 Boston College, 1 Syracuse, and 1 Boston University. The numbers of how many kids get in off of those wait lists is very tentative. There's been years where Johns Hopkins has let in 0 people off their wait list, but considering how many there are, the probability that at least one occurs during the summer is pretty high. As I said before, college admissions were extremely competitive this year. Duke experienced 54,000 people apply, 10% more than last year. 98,000 applied to Northeastern and 78,000 applied to BU. The respective acceptance rate were as follows: Duke 4.1%, Northeastern 6.8%, and BU still tentative about how many they're going to admit because their wait list is quite large, but hovering around 10%. We're extremely proud and excited for all of our admitted and committed students. I just really wanted to highlight the selective admissions because we all worked really hard to make sure that we go to good colleges. This concludes the student perspective.
Thanks, Val. Congratulations, and I think Foster sent me an email 5 minutes after you called. So, thank you so much. That brings us to citizens' comments. So if there's any citizen that would like to make a comment to the Board of Education, they would go to the podium and give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. And I'm going to say this 3 times. So if anyone would like to speak to the Board of Education, please come to the podium. And 3, anybody like to speak to the Board of Education? Thank you. Oh, yes, we have a taker.
Good evening.
had no intention of speaking, but since she was going to say it 3 times, I was like, someone should come up. My name is Beverly Newson. As you mentioned, I'm also, woo woo Toflon. We've been here for 2 years. We're proud parents to 2 children, and they're very young, 8 and 6. And so when we moved here, we were coming from a district that really just did not have the same philosophy of education as we have come to understand it. One of our children experienced something very traumatic in one of those districts. And so we just knew we had to do something. As an educator, I got on the phone and I just started calling districts and just explaining I'm a mom and I'm doing all I can and, just reaching out. And I was so glad that Plainville was one of the 2 districts that we said, okay, this might be a place we could, call home. And 2 years later, we're just so glad to be here. We are grateful for the education that is provided here. The awards speak for themselves. We know it to be a school district reaching for excellence and acceptance of people. And we're just very grateful to be here. Congratulations to this young man over here. That was excellent. And again, just speaking to the standard of excellence held here, and when you surround children with love and an expectation of excellence, they usually meet that. And if they don't come as parents, we hold the standard pretty high. If they don't meet it all the way there, they come pretty close. And so we're grateful to just be part of the town. And we look forward to just getting more involved in things here, like coming to Board of Ed meetings and just being a part. So thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Appreciate the words. We do not have a council liaison this evening because we have a conflict with the town council meeting, which is going on the other side of town. Superintendent's report, Mr. Reese.
Well, let me say, Val, congratulations. 4.1%, you must be ecstatic. So, but they're lucky to have you, and I'm sure you'll remind them. My first section is mark your calendars. The superintendent showcase is next week, the 23rd, here at the high school. We have musicians, we have robotics, we have pretty much everything we do here on display for the community. We're pretty excited about it. I already am in a debt of gratitude to Miss Glistro over there, who has worked behind the scenes significantly, and and Lynn over here, who's been extremely helpful in getting everything moving along. After that, April 30 is our referendum on the budget. That's the whole townwide referendum on the budget. Excited about that as well. And then May 1st for board members, we have our board retreat. And then, I cannot believe June 12th is as close as it is, but that's the graduation day. That's way too short a time. So I just want to note MSP renovation is on everybody's mind. So just wanted to give a quick update on that. We passed the referendum passed on 3/19. We have a meeting with CSG to review the grant process and kind of dot some I's and cross some T's. The grant we hope to be submitted sometime in the month of May. It is technically due by June 30 to get it on the state's list of grants. The town council is actually meeting right now, and one of the items on their agenda is to take some steps towards this process. They are finalizing the membership of the building committee, which is a building committee with certain representatives is required for the state grant process. So council needs to do that. They are assigning this project to the building committee, which also needs to be done as one of the check boxes for the grant process. And they're also getting permission from the town council to apply for the grant. That is all happening concurrently as we're meeting now. This meeting was moved. We typically meet last week, but because of the April break, we end up meeting on the same night as the council, in case anybody was wondering why we're meeting at the same time. So we do have some celebrations. We found out this afternoon that our very own food services director, Ashley Carl, was named School Nutrition Association of Connecticut Director of the Year. hot off the presses. We are very excited for her. And a lot of this is from not only doing a terrific job, being a wonderful colleague to her colleagues, but also advocating for free lunch and providing for students in need, taking that passion. We are also excited that the town council concurrently is recognizing the cheerleading team, who for 2 years in a row have been their class state champions. We're very proud of them and happy for them. I don't think there's too many districts who can claim 2 years in a row. While you may not be able to tell because it's 70 degrees outside, we made significant progress over the week, taking the boilers out of this building in the process of replacing them, which is part of the project that apparently has been in the works for the last couple of years. And for those who weren't able to attend, our day on the Hill, which I talked about at the March meeting, turned into not only kind of bringing some students to the legislative office building in the Capitol, but it turned into a private tour by our local senator, all through the legislative office building. We sat where they have meetings, where they have lunch. We were able to go into the chambers. We were also able to go over to the Capitol and sit in some of their seats as well. It was, I learned a lot. Our students came away from it, feeling energized about government. One, I think, even expressed an interest in going into government as of going on the tour. So that was a lot more than we expected from going and supporting education for a day, but we're very excited. So that is the end of the superintendent report.
Any questions from? Okay. We are going to move into our board subcommittee reports, and our first committee is Facilities and Finance. Mr. White.
The Facilities and Finance has not met since our last meeting, so there is no report.
All right, thank you so much. Policies Subcommittee, Ms. St. Lawrence.
Yep, we have not met since the last meeting, so no report.
Thank you. We have policies for second read though on our agenda, right? Curriculum Subcommittee, Ms. Martinez.
Yes, curriculum met on March 21st, and it was a great meeting. We went over a few different things. We discussed the high school algebra class at MSP. That class will still continue to be offered, but going forward next year, the GPA will not carry over to the high school. Students will start fresh with their GPA. We discussed elementary reading and the right to read grant and legislation and the professional learning that's going along with that, and the 10 learning sessions that some of our teachers and administrators are attending. And it was great to hear that they are, we talked to Spedder, who says that she seems to be getting a lot out of them and she's enjoying those. The proposed concurrent enrollment course with CCSU for the psychology class, the potential for that. And then we discussed graduation requirements. We were discussing how now students will be able to graduate and have course representative of the amount of credits that they take. So they'll graduate with a higher level of distinction with if they've taken more credits than just the general requirement. And that about sums it up. Dave, is there anything you want to?
Nope, it was good. The only thing I'll say is with policy, we will be setting up another committee, and part of that graduation policy revamp brought to the.
Perfect. Thank you. Outreach Subcommittee has not met, and so we're going to Plainville High School PAC. Mr. White.
Yes, the PAC did meet on March 13th in the Commons. They reported at that meeting they have a final balance of $2,853.78. Their next meeting is going to be on May 8th. They do have enough funds on hand for their scholarships and also They have another fundraiser coming up. It's coming up this Saturday. And for those of you who are like me, who really detest having to take your bottles back to reclaim them, they are doing a bottle drive right here at the high school Saturday from 10 to 2. So you bring your plastic bottles and cans, and to help them get some additional money that they're going to be using also to supplement some of the additional funds that are going to be needed for this year's class picnic in the end of May. Their next meeting, as I said, is going to be on May 8th. That concludes my report, unless there are questions.
Thank you. 10 cents a piece now, by the way. Toflon Elementary School, Ms. Martinez?
Yes, Toflon PTO met on March 14th. They did have quite a bit of business. They got a lot done at this meeting. They discussed for old business how they purchased water bottles for every student, and those were handed out in the classroom's first day of school. They purchased field trip t-shirts for all new students and kindergartners, and they'll have extra shirts for any new students entering each grade. They had their Friendship Grams fundraiser where the profit was $486. They had their Apex Fun Run with a total profit of $6,724.28. They had their MCM fundraising with a profit of $645.46. They had first place, their Spirit Wear. They have a website now that's year round, and so far they've raised $169.87 for that. They had a Jersey Mike's fundraiser on March 12th, and the profits to be determined on that one. And Bay State Textiles, profit of $390.91, and a Coca-Cola give $40.50. For some upcoming events, they had the Scholastic Book Fair, which has now happened March 18th to the 22nd. DARE will be happening again this year. Slight change, all schools will be doing it together, and the PTO donated $350 for cake, balloons, gifts, etc. for the celebration after the DARE. They're going on their yearbook. Send any photos to Toflon Yearbook at plainvilleschools.org. They started their scholarship process. They're receiving applicants. The deadline was April 5th. Decisions need to be sent to Julie by May 1st, and they need volunteers for a committee to review applications. 5th grade graduation end of year activities. Ms. Chmielewski is parent in charge, charging each family $25 per 5th grader. Friendship Grams, they tossed around some ideas between bracelets and bookmark. Bingo night, they're discussing end of the year bingo. And staff appreciation is May 6th through May 10th. And I'm not going to report on that because I don't know what they know about it. And the end of the year picnic party, they're looking for volunteers, and they're looking at some ideas, possibly a silent dance party and ice cream truck and food trucks. So they're looking around at different things. And the end of the year staff gifts, Amazon gift cards. Actually, I'm not going to get too into that either. So it was a very productive meeting, and that's it. And the next meeting will be on April 11th.
All right, thank you. Linden Elementary School, Miss.
Good evening. So Lyndon's been doing a spectacular job. Nicole is amazing in her leadership. They're preparing for the spring book fair next week. They have raised $3,200 in Scholastic book dollars to buy books for the teachers and students. Craft fair on April 27th from 10 to 2. For Teacher Appreciation Week, the students are going to chalk the walk the day before, where they make nice messages for their teachers, and it's nice for when the teachers will, come to school at the beginning of the week. It's always fun. And then lunch on May 2nd for staff from Lola's Bistro with desserts donated from the families. The DARE graduation prep, they're doing DARE graduation prep. For graduation, they ordered bags from Threads. They had an excellent start to spring, which was amazing. They had wonderful high school volunteers, so that's one of the ways the students can get volunteer hours. They had a lot of fun. And it was cold, so I want to say thank you very much for the volunteers that day. Lindy visited. The raffles that day made over $800. Scholarship applications are in. They're voting during the meeting or before for final applicants to go to Mr. Wallowitz's desk. The May PTO meeting has been pushed to 5:15 so that the volunteers can go to the dinner at the high school on the 8th. Voting in May for the officers for the PTO. So they're looking for officers to, join up. It's a great group of kids. Mr. Wallowitz is an excellent principal. So we're all hoping that as our 5th graders are graduating, they get some good volunteers for PTO. And the PTO has covered $15 in field trip money for each student via check. So that's it for Linden.
Thank you so much. And the middle school, Ms. St. Lawrence?
Yep. The MSP PTC met on Tuesday, March 12th. Lots of great talk about the upcoming end of the year events. They're getting ready, gearing up for scholarships. The scholarships for PHS graduates. There was talk about helping celebrate Guidance Counselor Week. Also some upcoming events, MSP Paint Night, a spring dance, and there was a lot of planning about Teacher Appreciation Week from that May 6th to May 10th. I'm not sure if they're meeting tomorrow night. I believe it's tomorrow night at 7 p.m., so that's April 16th.
Thank you. Wheeler, I know Miss Buchanan usually goes there. Did she drop a note with anybody? Sometimes. We'll have to go, poor Wheeler, unreported. Correct Council, I do not have a report. Chairperson's report, I just, again, as is always the case, it's amazing when we have a referendum and it passes, especially with the numbers that it did pass by, really proved that the project, it was time to do that project, that it was well supported by folks and people understood it, which is kind of amazing in this day and age to get people to all come together and understand something. I'm always amazed that a lot of people vote yes for this. It's not going to personally affect their lives, but they know it's the right thing for the community, so it's awesome. However, there's a lot of work that is done for a project like this. The school district administration has a huge role to play here. Communications in our district, Mrs. Davis, as always, our town council and our town manager and assistant manager, as well as several members of their staff, worked really hard too to make sure that they had good, solid communication out there. And it really was a great team. It was done in a very short period of time. The consultant that we had kind of shook his head at us and said, "You guys can't do it this fast." Rebecca said, "Yes, we can." And, it was really a great showing. With Val here earlier and talking about getting into his college, and that's awesome. But I do know this in my little head: there are a lot of students who won't get into those, first choice colleges. But I always say there's more than one way to get to a place, right? So keep fighting, keep struggling, keep working, and you don't have to. I had always told my kids, you don't have to start off at the school that you want to go to either. Sometimes it's more financially viable. I said as their mother, that you could always move to a different school afterwards. So, but to Val's point about how hard everybody was working to get into their schools and how much of a focus it is for kids, I know it's a tough time, a lot of stress. So, wishing everyone well. And that's it for me. So I'm going over to unfinished business, which is where we have. Is it 4 or 5? We have 5 policies, which we approved for first reading, and now we just need to do so for our second reading. So someone like to make a motion?
So moved, Madam Chairman, that we move those as the 5A through E, that we now accept those.
Right? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any questions or any concerns? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Thank you. Brings us to new business. We'll start off with board open forum. Anyone have?
I have a couple of things, Madam Chairman, if I may. First, I would just like to, because he is still here, thank Nolan so much for what he did for the Coalition for Positive Youth Development. Nolan incorporated every one of the 5 Portrait of a Graduate aspects in the work that he did in collaborating with Isabella. And it really is, as Lynn pointed out, it is really appreciated by the Coalition, which, and another thing, the Coalition is, I think, sponsoring an excellent event this Thursday night. On the 18th, it's called Screenagers, and this is a film presentation that will be at the middle school, and it addresses the issues that really confront us all on the issues of social media and what we have to do as educators, as parents, as grandparents in this issue. So I would urge anyone who has a little bit of time for this Thursday night, starting at 6 o'clock at MSP. There will be a forum afterwards, so as you watch this presentation, you develop some thoughts in your mind, you will have the opportunity to address a panel and get that addressed. So that, so it wouldn't be possible without people like Nolan. This is a gentleman I've known for a little been fortunate to know a little while in my life. And believe it or not, Nolan, you really inspire me. So take that for what it's worth, but it could be real bad. The other thing I just wanted to note, during the open forum at our last meeting, I mentioned the fact that Todd Helming, a teacher here in the music department, discovered that about 5% of his chorus members had ever been to live music theater. Todd took it upon his own to go out and seek a grant. Well, looking at our donations report, it's in our packet for this meeting tonight, that grant did come through for $2,500 that is going to support Plainville High School students being able to attend music theater productions, the first of which is they are going to be seeing a production of The Wiz at the Bushnell. If the funds are remaining and there's interest, Todd also plans to have them go down to Goodspeed and see South Pacific, which is a forerunner of excellent musical theater in really addressing the fact that bigotry is really not acquired, it is learned, and that is Lieutenant Cable's song in that number really, really points that out. And this was a very courageous, because this particular music came out just at the end of World War II. And so these are some really good things that are going on. I just like to bring them to everyone's attention.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Foster. I actually have, Madam Chair, for the Screenagers, who's that for? Is that for just parents or students? Or Foster. The Screenagers, is that for just parents or students?
No, that's for families to go.
Okay. It's for families?
It's actually parents and students in grades.
Yep.
4 to 12. Okay,
Parents
thank
and
you.
students, grades 4 through
Thank
12. Yeah, that's a lot of coloring. Anybody else before I pass? Move on.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd just like to say congratulations to Miss LaBelle and as well to our student PCS All-Stars, Isabella Peters and Nolan Meehan. Thank you so much for all of your work with the coalition, and we really appreciate it, and that's going to be an awesome logo for us to have. So thank you so much for all of that. And I just want to make sure to remind everybody to get out and vote on the budget vote. That's coming right before we know it. What is the date on that? It's
The budget?
30th? Tuesday, the 30th? Huh?
Tuesday the 30th?
Yeah, Tuesday the 30th. And so just make sure you get out and vote on that. We want to make sure that we have a good turnout for that. And thank you so much for everybody that came out to vote on the MSP project. It was nice to see an increased turnout. We'd always like more and more turnout, but it was nice to see everybody coming out. At times there was people that had to park across the street or in the parking lot next door, and that's always a good thing to see. And that's it.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, if I may. I also wanted to say thank you for Mrs. Newsom for coming this evening. And I know not a lot of people attend our meetings, but I believe that's how it's a great thing to have community involvement. I know our meetings are watched on YouTube more often than I'd like to know that I'm seen, but it's great to have person-to-person contact. So thank you very much. Also, I think that's great that we have, our the superintendent showcase coming up. I always looked forward to seeing that. I think it's a wonderful way for the community to see really how our school district shines, and you get to see it like a snippet of every little thing. You know, like you said, there's going to be the music, there's the teachers, there's the students. It's just a really nice way to see everything kind of in a nutshell in one night. So that's really great. And thank you guys for all your work here. I appreciate that, working with my peers. So hope everybody has a good day too.
If there's nothing else, I'm going to move on. Under new business, we have adult education PEP grant approval. Is there anybody that wants to speak to that? Oh, wow, look at that. There she is. I missed you, Jill. I'm sorry. So, Jill, you're going to give us, well, you're going to tell us who you are. Go ahead. Tell us who you are.
Good evening. My name is Jill O'Brien, and I coordinate adult education programming. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share some new initiatives we hope to offer with your approval during the next school year. The program guide pictured there is mailed to our town residents every year in the fall and then in the spring. This is the primary recruitment tool to reach those in need of the mandated programs that you see listed in the upper left-hand corner. Since 1964, Plainville Adult and Continuing Education has provided a soft place to land for so many adult learners in our community. Kevin, would you please advance to the next slide? Census data populates a program profile report created by the State Department of Education's Adult Education Unit. Data shows that at least 1,241 adult Plainville residents ages 18 and over do not have their high school diploma, and at least 274 Plainville residents ages 18 and over are eligible for English as a second language classes. So far this year, 85 students have touched our doors, and we expect more with the rolling enrollment in place. Please keep in mind, adult ed students volunteer to attend, and their time here competes with many outside obligations, such as work and family and health needs. The majority of students are female, most identified as Hispanic or Latino, and English as a second language is our most populated program. Most students are ages 25 to 44, and about half of all students are parents, and the same amount are unemployed. Our perpetual goals are to reach more students in need and provide excellent services to those who voluntarily attend our programs. The stars on this map show our students' countries of origin. We celebrate diversity, and we are proud of our culturally enriched academic community. Our official student handbook's front cover quotes America Ferrera, author of Americans Like Me. You are here, you are seen, your experience matters. Kevin, would you please advance to the final slide? There is an opportunity to help even more adult ed learners through the Program Enhancement Project grant funding. Every priority area that we are applying for is 100% federally funded for 4 years, beginning with fiscal year 25. Each grant has a 20% in-kind match. Each priority area is braided with workforce development initiatives in alignment with Capital Workforce Partners, Workforce Innovation, and Opportunity Act Plan. Students will learn about community services, career paths, and training opportunities that will assist them in their journeys leading to financial self-sufficiency. The first priority area is family literacy services, with a grant award of $50,000 and is 100% funded with federal dollars. This has been offered in Plainville for over 25 years through a successful reapplication process. Funds support daytime adult education classes for adult basic education, English as a second language, and GED preparation at Linden Street School. While parents attend classes, their children are engaged in educational activities at the Plainville Family Resource Network. Excuse me. The next priority area is instructional innovation for $30,000, and it is also 100% funded with federal dollars. Funds will support new adult high school credit diploma program courses, developmental child psychology sessions 1 and 2. The immersive learning experience will include observations, field trips, career navigation, and guest speaker presentations. And with each session, students will earn 1 credit toward graduation, gain exposure to multi-career pathways, and acquire parenting resources. Finally, we would like to offer integrated English literacy and civics education. The grant award is for $25,000 and 100% funded with federal dollars. Funds will support contextualized instruction for adult basic education, English as a second language, and citizenship preparation students. They will focus on literacy and English language acquisitions, the rights and responsibilities of citizenship, naturalization procedures, civic participation, and U.S. history and government. Weekly field trips will support civic-related topics such as how to navigate community services, including schools, employment, healthcare. Involvement in community activities and volunteerism will be emphasized. We will launch the first community activity through a pre-arranged agreement in place with the Plainville Senior Center. Using a combination of applied computer skills and handcrafts, students will create cheer cards with inspirational messages in their native languages and English, and deliver these cards during a field trip to the Plainville Senior Center. Each of these 100% federally funded grant initiatives bears no financial burden to the district. Programming will enhance our program's catalog of services. We aim to reach more students and provide meaningful learning opportunities while making a positive impact in our community. That concludes my presentation, and I'd like to answer any questions.
Question for Ms. O'Brien?
Hi, Ms. O'Brien, if I may. With the amounts that are the class sizes, what happens to the funding or the funds when the class isn't met? Like, say you only have like 5 students out of like 20. Would those funds roll over to another year? Is that annually?
We have a target for each grant initiative, and if we fall under, that's okay. We have the opportunity to address this mid-year and see where we are at and try to recruit more students. We do have a very nice recruitment plan in place. I'm confident that we'll meet the minimum number of students.
And this is it's a 4-year grant. Yes,
Yeah.
These are 4-year grants.
Right.
Any questions?
It's obvious that with 1,241 people in town without a high school degree, I think that this is really essential. And I congratulate you for doing the research to get this brought to our attention.
Thank you.
We've received this grant before, yes?
Yes, for family literacy services for over 25 years. There is a reapplication process that we continue to reapply for this grant every 4 years, and we've been successful
Why,
getting
it
that.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I just, this, the classes that you have, I know it's, for graduation, but the booklets and the, talk about other types of classes, like, the fathering class I thought I saw about
Sure.
like being, new dads and, what other classes do you offer besides this, or is that part of this?
Well, you could say that adult and continuing education really has 3 parts to it. The first part would be the mandated classes that we're focusing on tonight. The second part would be the enrichment activities in the community, such as yoga, brush painting, even the Daddy Boot Camp could fall into that. And the third category would be vocational courses. We have a new flagger national certification course that we're offering. We have a Connecticut security guard course, and we also have a CPR heart saver course. You're welcome.
Thank you. If we would like, I think we would just make a motion saying that we would approve. I'm looking, there's not actually, that I can see, I'm sorry if I'm missing it, actual wording, but if we just want to vote to approve adult education PEP grants as proposed, that's what I would.
I would so move, Madam Chairman.
Okay,
Second.
we have a second. Any questions, anything?
I'll just note that I'll abstain because my wife works for the program.
Sounds good. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Right, thank you, and thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
I thought she was just sitting here keeping her sister company, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, Jill, oh, wow. So, thank you so much. We do not have, it is not time for a quarterly special education report, not time for turf committee. We're going to go right to the cell tower proposal. Reese.
And I want to thank Jill as well. Thank you for the presentation. There was effort was put into that, and it's a wonderful program, something to be very proud of. So I wanted to just share with you that the town received our proposal, and I sent it to you in the documentation for this meeting. Essentially to choose to have one cell tower potentially put in the either at top in the rear to the property of Toflon or over at the middle school. When I initially looked at it, it looked like the middle schools was a little farther away from the building, less obvious. So again, it is a way that the town would be able to gain some funds for this. Not a significant amount, but some. It would also improve our cell service at the middle school, which is particularly not great. So there would be some benefit to us. That being said, it is a proposal that's on the floor. It's something that town government, the town manager would have to work through in terms of contracting. I've seen these in the news go different ways, and some people have very strong opinions one way or very strong opinions the other way. So I want to share that with you, where we are, get any comments or questions, and I will take those back to the manager. And
This is not the first time that this has been proposed.
I heard there was a cell tower proposal. I wasn't sure if it was a similar or
Very
even at the
similar
same
to
school.
the one thing in their presentation, there's a spelling error, and for me to find a spelling error, that is somewhat tantamount to a earth-shaking event. But they refer to Northwest Drove, it's Northwest Drive. But the proposal to put the tower on Overlook Drive would, I think, this is really in close proximity to about 7 dwellings. It is also within several feet of the path that goes from Overlook Drive down to the middle school and on to Tofflon School. It also, in the plan that I have here, actually shows an access road, and that access road would actually bisect the trail that they currently have to the new playground for the pre-K students at Tofflon. That access trail to that tower would go across where those students, and these are pre-K students that are using this, that would have to go to that playground. So I personally feel, and to be very honest, yes, I live on Overlook Drive. Yeah, I'm not that close to it, but I think that site would not work out. I think that would definitely draw some very negative neighborhood comments back to the district if our name should be attached to it. The site that is on in the other side of Northwest Drive, pretty much on the south side of Northwest Drive, and that is fairly close to the middle school, and I do have some concerns about that because if it's a type of tower that exists by the municipal center, that is kind of really unsightly, but that is also a type of thing that would be very attractive to middle school students, especially male middle school students that like to climb for adventure, shall we say. But those are the concerns I have to that. The access to that is a better design because it would access off that back loop to the building. My other concerns are that with anything on this particular property, with the upcoming renovation to that school, there's going to be some necessary site work that also has to be done. And this tower and the access road to it may well create some limitations to access that particular site, either from the parking area or as another egress, which would be almost within 10 yards of the existing exit from the middle school onto Northwest Drive. Those would be some of my concerns. There are others in the contract that I would think the town attorney should really look into as they relate back to increases with as renewals over the next number of years. There's some language in there that I think really sets off some alarm bells to myself. But those are my personal observations.
So this is it's kind of like in its infancy, would you say? I mean, and
Yes, it's a proposal. So they came and asked. They they look at spaces and say where could we put a tower that meets some of the needs, especially with 5G. You have to be close, and they
This is the only one.
approach the town.
Yeah. I think it's the same. I think before.
question?
Yeah, sorry. How many is this the only proposal we've received?
It is.
Oh.
It's the only proposal that's been received in the last 6 months.
Would we entertain others? Just to compare apples to apples and see what we can, if we're going to do it, get the best deal out of it.
I could ask that question.
I mean, obviously, the only reason we're being asked about it is because it's kind of in our proximity. So if they go somewhere else, it wouldn't be our purview anyway. But just, yeah, these two proposals. So it's kind of more just like for our thinking and to start talking about it and to see what if people, have concerns and.
Madam Chair, if I may. I think that having something close to the middle school, considering that we're doing all these improvements, that would be actually an improvement to the area, to have the technology there and what we're doing for the school, for the classrooms, for the safety of the students as far as, the cell phone service and being able to communicate well. And I also want to say that as far as climbing up things. My daughter could probably give everybody's son a run for their money. She's does the monkey bars and everything. So I'm sure that the safety around such equipment would be pinnacle, that I never have any worries about the safety of things outside the building. So I look forward to seeing, what this has to do, where this goes in the future. So.
So, and just so I understood correctly, I understood your question to be, are there other companies asking to put power there? Like are there? Okay. Gotcha.
Madam Chair. I just had a few concerns, and I'd like to hear more about this. I understand that it's revenue coming in, but it feels like every time there's a blade of grass, we're putting something on it. And I think this could really upset the neighborhoods, and I would definitely want to see what the community feel is on this before, honestly, I even considered it. I also wanted to make sure if there's any health or any issues with the towers. I wanted to hear more about that as well, but I just want to stress that even though there's revenue attached to it, we are 9 square miles, and there's a lot of things built everywhere on everything. So that's just something to consider.
Yeah, and I think that's the purpose of this, is just to start having this conversation so people are aware of it. You? Anybody else? Our last item, item F, is the request for approval of participation in healthy food and beverage certification. And there is kind of a long and wordy language that Rebecca's going to read, because she gets to sit next to me and I get to hand it to her and tell her she's going to read it in a moment. But just so you guys know what this is it's going to help support our food service program. Every lunch we sell, get 10-cent additional reimbursement. So it helps keep that program solvent. When that program is solvent, it's much less likely to hit our budget where we want it to be. There are some specific requirements. I'd say probably 85 to 90% of those requirements are already federal, so there's not a whole ton that's new. And what is new is what gets. So, Rebecca, read the proposal, if you would, and then we'll make a motion in a second, and then we'll see what we have for questions. How's that?
Sure. Healthy food option pursuant to CGS section 10-21(5)(f), the Plainville Board of Education certifies that all food items offered for sale to students in the schools under its jurisdiction and not exempted from the Connecticut nutrition standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education will comply with the Connecticut nutrition standards during the period of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separately from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, culinary programs, and any fundraising activities on school premises sponsored by the school or non-school organizations and groups.
That's part one. So
Correct.
It's going to be a two-part vote. So this is our first part. So if I could have somebody to make a motion on that part, which is whether or not we want to participate in healthy food certification.
Madam Chair, I move that we.
Second. All right. Any questions on this one?
Yes. These are items that are for sale, correct? It says specifically in there that the items have to be for sale to the students.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is,
I mean, it's well, it depends on who's giving it now.
the reason I'm asking is we got a letter saying that our kids can't share food either. So if Skylar or any student at school is at the lunch table and they bring a lunch from home and they have 2 Twinkies, they can't share their food with the kid next to them. I mean, it was very stringent, the wording of what came home as a result of passing that. I mean, I know that we're not supposed to have soda in the vending machines or Twinkies in the vending machines or cheese sticks or whatever, but that whole idea of, you're at lunchtime, high school, elementary, that's why I'm asking about sharing, because also it went from being able to bring cupcakes for the whole classroom that are free because we're providing them, we're not selling them, to students have to have absolutely no food products brought in at any time. The lollygrams from Linden School, the little lollipops that they made for sale, had to stop. So there are unintended consequences. Sometimes these kids, the little party they have at school is like really a big deal. It might be like the only time they're celebrating with their friends because their family can't afford to have a big party. So that's why I wanted clarification on the language, because I don't think we should be stopping kids from sharing, or, I realize there's peanut allergies and all those types of things, but this was like the year before we were able to bring stuff in, and then this year that stopped cold turkey. So does this mean this is for sale? So I just would like some clarification of that.
I mean, I don't know specifically what you're referring to. Could be for another reason, could be for food allergy reasons. It was specifically for this.
Yep.
This is, you're doing this. Yeah, but we have been participating in the Healthy Food and Beverage Certification Initiative for a number of years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, but this language changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Madam Chair. So the question I have about it is, I do share some of Cassandra's concerns. This year, what has become a lot stricter, and I'm not sure if it's a federal guideline or if this is coming from here. So I'd like to clarify that. Our PTOs are definitely taking a hit. I personally, I agree with not having junk food in vending machines. I agree with not having soda in schools. I don't think junk food should be readily available. But there are times for celebratory occasions, fundraisers, where it's moderation, and it helps the students be able to have activities. And I know the MSP PTO has really suffered this year, not being able to sell anything or do anything celebratory of that nature. So I'm just not sure myself if it's due to this, or if even if we said, we disagree with this, is that a federal regulation?
So this healthy food option, this first part, has not changed in all the years that we've been doing it. It's written in the same way. So maybe it's the way there's a more serious intent in how it's being administered.
Yeah, they can't even have celebratory pizza parties. I know that,
you wouldn't do that.
there were some classes used to have at different times a celebration where they'd have end of year party or anything where
So there's a lot of things that impact this, including our own wellness policy. Our wellness policy probably talks about using food as a reward and how we try and avoid that. And then there's also another part of the National School Lunch that has nothing to do with this, that talks about you can't say, oh, my class is not going to go to lunch today because I'm going to give them pizza. Give them. Or if a family brings in pizza, what happens then is all those kids in that class do not go buy lunch. That's considered competing with the program. That can't be done either. So there's a lot of rules that might be impacting this beyond this one. So
I just have to say I don't agree with all the fingers that the federal government has. I mean, is it good to have free lunch? Yes, I understand that. But again, it's all these unintended consequences to, I don't know.
If I may, that's just it. The program is very strict with the rules and regulations, and we're not allowed to pick and choose. And what you're seeing and what you're experiencing is us enforcing the rules that have existed for quite some time. And You know, if you don't like one part of it, but you do like another part, it doesn't matter. That's the whole program, food nutrition program, has those requirements.
But
But I think this particular thing where you do have a choice is for sale of food. It's not what you're talking about. I think what you're talking about is part of the regular food nutrition regulation.
Yeah, I think definitely.
And this, I don't think they're giving you a choice about, this choice is for whether you want to follow those food nutrition standards for vending machines, for sale at events, and sale of food. That I guess maybe it is a little bit of what you're talking about. It is PTO fundraising.
So
Yeah.
how much do
But
we,
not-
what's the revenue that we get from 10 cents a meal throughout the
For
That's
the
up to
healthy
about 20.
food certification piece,
Correct.
10 cents a meal.
right,
10
what's
cents each.
the overall impact to the district?
How much money
Which-
comes
Correct.
in, you mean? I think it's been around $20,000, wasn't that?
Yeah,
what was on our-
it's about 20,000. It's in that bar graph in the middle of the memo.
Yeah, and I would argue that we probably lose at least that much collectively with all the PTOs, the different fundraisers, the holidays that some of the other programs used to run that they're not able to run anymore.
I mean, most fundraisers can be done. It just has to be done a certain way.
No, you can't.
You can't do the ones in school.
Right, so
Well,
this,
yeah, you can, but it's gotta be after school and after
Right.
school hours, and kids picking up things after school because they don't fit the guideline, nutritional guideline.
Right, so where I've seen it have impact is things like parent-teacher conferences. You want to send your kid a gram and, and a snack, you want to send something like that because you're buying it after school, because it's delivered in school, that's a no. If they want to do a 5th grade, 8th grade, 12th grade, whatever, special day or whatever, where they used to have like an ice cream truck, something come like that, for graduation, that's a no. Any of those celebrations, is a no. End of the year pizza parties, in any case, it's all a no. And it's this year that seems to be a lot more of an impact.
Quick question, Madam Chair. Our food service director has been nationally recognized as being quite competent. What are her observations of participation in the healthy food?
I mean, Ashley's a strong proponent of this
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
It's part of what we do, and 10 cents a meal, while while people don't think that's a lot of money for the food service program, that's phenomenal.
And
Because the programs are run on.
And we're talking a lot about the downside, and again, you don't get to pick and choose. You can't say, well, I want to do some of these PTO events. I want to still get the $20,000, but we still want to hold PTO events. I think what Ashley would say is there's a lot of positives as well. Because when you can consistently have nutritious, high, standard, the food that we're serving our children develops healthy habits, lifetime. There's a lot about.
I also understand that too, but if we're gonna get this $20,000, my daughter complains about, she is so upset with the lunches that she gets at the elementary school.
So I don't want us to
But
bash
no,
lunches
but I'm
at the
saying that
elementary
for the
school.
$20,000, for the meals, the nutritious meals, so we're getting rid of parties, we're getting rid of sharing at the lunch table, and now, if you think about like their alternative dinners, the bagel and the piece of fruit, that's what, and the cheese stick. I'm just, that things are not equal across the playing field is what I'm just not seeing that. Ashley does an amazing job. I'm not saying this is apples and oranges to her, but going without everything these kids have had to go without, and now the PTOs, it's not the same. It's not the same as saying, okay, after hours we can do this, or after hours you can do that, because there's a lot of kids that can't come after hours. And you talk about, equity, and, when you're talking about kids having treats and rewards or parties, you're making it impossible for all the children to participate.
Madam Chair, So I've gotten quite a bit of feedback as a parent of kids in the school district, not only from other parents, but also some of the faculty that have also discussed this as well. Many of the faculty that I've talked to think this is a bit excessive, a bit much, and a bit of reach of Big Brother stepping in where it's not needed. I personally don't need the school district to regulate my child's health or the ability to get a Rice Krispie treat as a celebratory thing that we want to bring for our families and things like that, right? So we get that kids have allergies and things like that, but even bringing in, a healthier treats in isn't an option either. So this, in my mind, as well as the view of many parents that have approached me as a board member and some of the faculty, feel that this is far above and beyond, especially what we've been experiencing this year and a part of last year, I would also add. So I'm going to vote no. I'm not in favor.
I mean, I don't know why there's that much of a difference. Like I said, it's what we've been doing all along. It's possible that we're just being more compliant, and that's where the rub is. But this is a conversation I have every district every day.
So one of the things that I think a third option on the floor I would throw out there is the potential to table this. And the reason being is, and our chair mentioned it earlier, but I would want our director here to kind of be ready to explain. There is what's federally mandated, and then there is what we're choosing. The amount that's different is almost insignificant. So, because we're already held to certain standards, some of the questions around the sharing of food, I believe a lot of that's around other issues. That's around parents getting very upset when they send their kid with this big lunchbox and the kid comes home and says, all I ate was one Twinkie, I gave everything else away. Like, I don't know, but there's lots of issues with allergies, and like there's a host of issues around that, and there is an expectation that we're supporting health. But I think I don't want to give the false impression that by voting no somehow we have tremendously less restrictions, because as I understand it, and I don't want to speak off the cuff to it, it's very minimal as to what is being voted on versus what we already have to buy into. In fact, I think, and I believe the healthy food option, I don't actually think that changes much at all. I actually think that the change doesn't happen until you get into the second motion, which we're not there yet. But again, I would want Carl to explain that more thoroughly if you're considering voting it down, just because I would want you to make it informed, and doing a very good job of informing you. Just letting you know that, as I understand it, there's not too much different from what's already in place that we don't have a choice about.
Yeah. Madam Chair, since this is a initiative that will be effective from July 1st to June 30th, July 1st to 24 to June 30th to 25, we do have the luxury of some time. I would like to move that we table this motion to our next meeting, and that we be provided some more detailed information onto both sections of this, and if it would be appropriate for us to accept one and not the other. But I think we do need actually guidance in presenting this information to us, because I agree with what the superintendent said. I think some of these issues about sharing may not have any direct, or may not be a direct result from this, and I don't think we have the information in front of us tonight to make that decision. So I would like to make a motion to table this until our next meeting.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments or anything before we vote on that?
Thank you for tabling it.
Well, we didn't yet. We're going to vote. All in favor of tabling till May, and we could vote on it in May and then approve the minutes in June and still make the deadline that we need to make. That would work. All in favor? Any opposed? So we will request the presence of Miss Ashley in May. Thank you. That brings us to the consent agenda. Anybody have anything they would like to take off? If not, then make a motion to pass the consent.
Move to accept consent agenda as
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and our most favorite,
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.
and is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? All right. Thank you all very much. Thanks, everyone. Always fun to discuss school nutrition.